And you see, I'm particularly miffed by the way they've started to stifle protests. Just this morning, what happened? Went with people to protest, and the next thing, tear gas. Daily Trust was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist. Today we are diving deeper into a critical conversation from the Arise News morning show. We are reflecting on Nigeria's complex dance between the right to protest and the imperative of governance. From the enduring legacy of the EndSARS movement to recent warnings against public demonstration, we are exploring the very foundation of our democracy. Join me as we dissect the powerful insights shared and offer a critical take on what this means for the average Nigerian. Sit back and take a watch.
All right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. As today marks the 5th anniversary of the EndSARS protests and the tragic Lekki killings of October 20, 2020, we pay tribute to victims of SARS and honor the legacy of a movement that captured global attention. The EndSARS protest brought together millions of young Nigerians demanding an end to police brutality and government accountability. The Sorosoke and Coconut Head generation took to the streets in peaceful demonstrations that culminated in the tragic events at Lekki toll gate where protesters were shot at by security forces. Let's bring you a recap.
Our top story at this hour is our central story that is still developing and unfolding tonight. Sounds of gunfire have exploded on the streets in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos, as troops open fire on protesters there. There are reports of people killed and wounded as the Nigerian authorities move to end increasingly violent protests against police abuses. Riot police have been deployed across the country and a curfew has come into force in several states. We have special coverage tonight as Nigeria witnesses a major escalation after 2 weeks of protests against police brutality. But still, the protesters have remained on the streets.
Look at Lagos, ladies and gentlemen, look at over there. Look at Lagos is on fire. They're blocked everywhere.
Despite video and pictorial evidence, the Nigerian army has denied opening fire and killing peaceful EndSARS protesters at Lekki toll gate in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos.
What a somber moment. As we mark this significant milestone, activist Omoyele Showere's move to organize a protest against the detention of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, around Aso Rock, the National Assembly Complex, Force Headquarters, the Court of Appeal, Eagle Square and Shehu Shagari Way has been met with reactions. The Nigerian police force over the weekend urged demonstrators to respect a court order restricting protests around key government areas. Police spokesman Benjamin Hundeyin, while acknowledging citizens' rights to peaceful assembly and expression, stated that such rights must be exercised responsibly and within the limits of the law, particularly where public safety, national security and the rights of other citizens are concerned. I mean, this statement has elicited reactions, and I'll take some posts on X. This is from Obiora, who wrote on X, "With due respect to the Inspector General of Police, the places mentioned in this release, Aso Rock Villa, the National Assembly, the Court of Appeal, Force Headquarters, Eagle Square, and Shehu Shagari Way are not private estates. They belong to the people of Nigeria. The citizens built them, funded them, and ultimately own them. Therefore, the right to peacefully assemble in those places is not a privilege to be granted by the government. It is a constitutional right that must be protected. not suppress. If we are to speak of court orders, then we must remember that the same judiciary has discharged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on 2 separate occasions, yet the government continues to detain him in clear defiance of those rulings. Selective obedience to court orders undermines the very foundation of justice and erodes public trust in both the government and law enforcement. Nigerians are not asking for chaos. They are asking for fairness, equity before the law, and accountable governance. A government that has nothing to hide should have no fear of its citizens expressing dissent. Protests are not a threat. They are feedback, a mirror reflecting issues that require urgent attention. It is a sign that all is not well in the land. True leadership listens, not silences. The strength of any democracy lies not in the number of armed officers deployed to suppress voices, but in the courage of those in power to hear uncomfortable truths and act justly. Another ex-user wrote, "This statement from the Nigeria police force is a welcome reminder that the rule of law must guide every action in our democracy. Upholding court orders is crucial for maintaining order and preventing chaos. However, it's equally important that law enforcement officers carry out their duties with professionalism, restraint, and respect for the constitutional rights of citizens to peaceful assembly and free expression. Peaceful protest remains a legitimate democratic tool for citizens to express their grievances, provided it is conducted responsibly and within the law. The police must therefore balance firmness and fairness, ensuring that while security and public order are protected, voices of the people are not unjustly silenced. Ultimately, both the citizens and the police share a common responsibility to ensure peace, justice, and respect for the Constitution to prevail in our nation." I believe that's what the ex-user is trying to say. Rufai, we know the EndSARS movement, represented a defining moment for Nigeria's youth, a generation that, leveraged social media and organized this protest that captured international attention. It is quite, glaring at this moment that the rule of law has to prevail in the land. And, I do admire activist Omoyele Sowore for actually tying in this protest with the injustice as it seems. Rufai, your comment, and I'll come sit with you.
I mean, it's apt to protest when people have grievances. That's why we have a democracy.
Yeah.
And that's why I condemn any form of,
Right.
Military government.
Correct.
Because it's a democracy, people can protest. But in a
Right.
democracy, when people protest and you stifle their voice and you kill them, it makes us get sad and even question if what we're practicing democracy. And you see, I'm particularly miffed by the way they've started to stifle protests. Just this morning, what happened? Sowore went out with people to protest, and the next thing, tear gas. Daily Trust was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks, Jonathan did not go after them like this. A lot of the people that protested Occupy Nigeria morphed into what is the APC today. We saw how they had a series of protests then. Were these not the same people that protested and put Jonathan's head and call him all sorts of names, Jonathan Haram and everything? Did they stifle their voices this way? So this high-handedness we practice in the name of democracy will not get anywhere. You remember the first anniversary after EndSARS, that Femi had to stand tall with the police officer. People were tear gas. Mr. Macaroni was packed up in a bus. People must have a right to protest. What are they protesting for? Nnamdi Kanu. People have talked about a political solution all this while. Because while you talk about Nnamdi Kanu, what he did is unfair, you are also seeing a lot of heinous crimes being perpetrated by bandits, and they're having peace meetings. But in this country, some people have more power over the others. Like I've repeated, they have not said everything Nnamdi Kanu did was good. I disagree with some of most parts of his advocacy. But what you cannot deny Nnamdi Kanu, are people not being marginalized in this country? Are people not being killed in this country? So as long as that is happening and you don't have a level of fairness, then you're saying people should not talk? So So I keep asking, which kind of democracy do we even practice? When it suits them, they talk. When it doesn't suit them, they go the other way. So please, people should be allowed to protest. Police should be there to protect them. I remember the famous protest when Chuba Okadigbo and Buhari went to protest in Kanu that they refounded them. That was where Femi Falana went to court and he got that judgment. You shouldn't stifle protest. But what do we see? We see always attempt to stifle protest. What was the need going the way of tear gas canisters and the likes? What was the need? And you see, in any democracy, there must be protest. That's why the Americans are speaking up.
Yes, speaking about
no kings.
Yes.
And we must not have kings in this country. They say they should not go around the people's house. It's the presidential villa, not the people's house.
No,
in other parts of the world, don't people go to the White House? And the president will even take them on tours.
Right.
That was a truly sombering segment from Arise News, laying bare the raw emotions and complex realities surrounding protests in Nigeria. Recent warnings issued by the police against planned protests in key government areas. These demonstrations were intended to draw attention to the prolonged detention of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. The police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin attempted a delicate balancing act recognizing citizens' constitutional rights to peaceful assembly while simultaneously emphasizing that these rights must be exercised responsibly and within the limits of the law. The caveat, particularly where public safety, national security, and the rights of other citizens are concerned, immediately raises questions about where the line is drawn and who ultimately defines these limits. This stance predictably ignites a firestorm of reactions on social media, with many citizens asserting that public spaces like Aso Rock Villa and National Assembly and Ego Square are not private estate, but belongs to the people, and therefore the right to peacefully assemble there is constitutional, not a privilege granted by the government. Now, let's dive into the core of the debate, particularly Rufai's compelling and often challenging analysis. Rufai's critique hits hard at the very essence of democratic practice in Nigeria. He passionately condemned any form of stifling protest, especially through the use of force or violence, declaring it fundamentally anti-democratic. His argument is that a democracy strives on the free exchange of ideas, even dissenting ones. When the voices of the people are silenced, it creates a dangerous vacuum where grievances fester, leading to resentment and potential instability. He pointedly reminded us that in a democracy, the government is supposed to serve the people, and therefore citizens have an inherent right to voice their dissatisfaction without fear of reprisal. He didn't shy away from drawing stark historical parallel, recalling how the Goodluck Jonathan's administration, despite facing the widespread Occupy Nigeria fuel subsidy protests that shut down the country for 2 weeks, did not resort to the level of force seen subsequent years. He highlighted a concerning high-handedness and a perceived double standard, questioning why peaceful protesters advocating for justice are met with tear gas and life rounds, while other groups, such as alleged bandits, are reportedly engaged in dialogue and peacemaking. This inconsistency, he argues, not only exposes a critical flaw in government's approach to scrutiny and justice, but also leads citizens to question the very sincerity and fairness of the state. A central tenet of Rufai's argument is that protests are fundamentally a feedback mechanism, not a threat. They are a mirror reflecting issues that demand urgent attention, a vital warning system for those in power. True leadership, he asserted, listen and engage with these reflections rather than attempting to silence them. When protesters are suppressed, the government misses critical information about the people's suffering and concerns, leading to policies that are out of touch with reality. Furthermore, Rufai underscores the damaging impact of selective obedience to court orders. He cited the case of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been discharged by the judiciary on 2 separate occasions, yet remains in detention. This deviance of judicial ruling, he argued, undermines the very foundation of justice and erodes public trust in both government and law enforcement agencies. If the rule of law is selectively applied, where does that leave the ordinary citizen seeking justice? It creates a system where certain individuals or groups are treated differently, perpetuating a sense of injustice and unfairness. For my take, What we're witnessing here is a profound struggle for the soul of Nigeria's democracy. Rufai's impassioned commentary goes beyond mere observation. It is a call to conscience for the nation's leadership. The current climate of police warning and the memories of past crackdowns creates an environment of fear, which is antithetical to a striving democratic society. My take is this: the strength of any democracy truly lies not in its ability to suppress dissent, but in its capacity to tolerate, listen to, and genuinely engage with its citizens' grievances. When public spaces, built and funded by people, become no-go zone for peaceful assembly, it signals a deeper problem than just maintaining order. It suggests a disconnect, a fear of uncomfortable trust that leadership must confront. Nigerians are not asking for chaos. They are demanding fairness, equity before the law, and genuinely accountable governance. A government that truly has nothing to hide should embrace transparency and have no fear of each citizen expressing dissent. The path forward requires a fundamental shift from viewing protest as a threat to recognizing them as an essential, albeit sometimes inconvenient, part of democratic dialogue. It demands that law enforcement uphold the constitutional right of citizens with professionalism and restraint, and that the rule of law is applied consistently and fairly to all, regardless of their political affiliations or ethnic background. Only then can we truly build the trust and ensure the peace and justice that Nigeria deserves.